Hey everybody, I'm in Iowa today. I'm at our print facility. Behind me is a Cobraflex King Cobra printer. It's one of the newest printers in our fleet of industrial printers from Cobraflex. And today we're going to walk through the startup procedure on these printers so that you can see what we do every single morning before we start to run our prints. We do this for two reasons. One, we want to make sure we get the best quality prints out of the machine, and two, this maintenance helps ensure all of the expensive parts like the print heads are going to give us as much life as possible, last as long as possible. With that, let's just dive in and take a look at what it takes to get this printer running every single day of the week.
Oh hey, this is Terry from Demand Prints. I'm doing my morning procedure with my Cobraflex King Cobra. Just getting started for the day, kind of going through my daily routine of cleaning in the morning, making sure everything's set up right. Let's get started. First step that I always do is release the head carriage. I personally move it all the way over to the left so I can clean it. Hit your left button, move it all the way over. Before I go over and clean that, what I like to do is to kind of look and see what my capping station looks like, my wiper looks like. I want to clean that before I run my morning pump and cleaning. So a lot of times I'll take paper towel or a towel, whichever works for the wiper, whatever you want to do. A lot of times if you use something dry first and then go back with something wet, at least you're getting up the majority of the ink off the wiper from the multiple cleans that it does overnight. Clean a little bit of that up before I use a wet rag. After I wipe up some of the ink, I'll come back with a damp rag with just some water on it. I like to use microfiber cloths just because they're a little less rough on things. So I'll go in here and clean my capping stations. The reason I'm doing this is to make sure I have a good sharp edge, no deterioration on the capping station. You want to get all the dried ink off of there. You want to make sure you're always getting a good seal with your capping station and your heads. So proceed to wipe. Don't scratch. Try not to do anything that would damage or rip the top of your capping stations. I just like to clean as much of it as I can. It makes it so when I do my deep cleanings at the end of the week, there is not as much to do. A lot of times during the day, I'll come over here while the machine's running and just wipe off the capping stations as the head's going back and forth as well, just to keep those tips of the rubber free of ink that can potentially dry on there and cause small issues. Maintenance is always a big key. As much as you can do to keep things clean, the better. So now that I have cleaned my capping station for the morning and my wipers, we will go over for the next step of cleaning the undercarriage of the underneath of the head carriage. Next step that I do in the morning is I want to make sure and clean the undercarriage of the head, where the heads are and housed. What I'm using here is what they call Blue Juice from Cobraflex. Putting a little bit on a soft microfiber towel. We want to be very careful that you're not scraping or pulling across the heads themselves. What I'm going to do is go around the heads, get the carriage cleaned. Just kind of pay attention to how the heads look. If there's any kind of dried crusted ink anywhere around the strips, at that point, that's a different type of cleaning that we would do. You have to be very careful with that because you don't want to ruin your heads. But for now, by what I'm seeing, the heads themselves look very good. So I'm going to clean around them and make sure there's nothing hanging down that can scrape across the images while I'm printing. So you take that, you just very carefully go around the heads, and see as you go. It doesn't take much to clean it off because as your machine is cleaning itself overnight, it doesn't dry up and you have a scraper going across it, your wiper on the other side every time it does clean. I have mine set to clean every 3 hours at night, just to do a week simple clean every 3 hours. The other thing you want to check is you'll notice there's grooves on either side of the head carriage. You just want to make sure there is no ink dried up in there that can potentially be hanging down. Why you do that and why I a lot of times will run my finger across that, because it is a gathering spot for ink and there's a little bit of an indent in there. So it can get ink up in there and dry. And then it just seems like that is the spot that it gathers a lot over time if you don't clean it. If you don't clean up inside of that groove, it can end up causing a lot of buildup in there. And then as it starts hanging down, it can cause indents in your print, scraping across as the head goes back and forth. The other place to check is just along the front edge and both edges of it. As you can hear, I accidentally grabbed the alert head stop, which is right here, and right there. There's one on either side right here, and right here. That's that beeping noise that you hear. It's alerting me that there was a head impact, which means I accidentally hit that when I was cleaning. But that head impact alerts you and stops the head immediately when you're printing if there's some sort of impact. So that it doesn't first ruin heads by scraping across something or continue printing and ruining whatever you're printing. So since I did that, once again, just wipe and clean. Everything looks really good. We'll close our blue juice up, walk around to the other side. And as you can hear, that beeping is still going off. And as you see on my computer screen, it says anti-collision emergency stop activation. That again is why, because I hit the emergency stop alert on it. When that comes up, you just need to click on confirm that you had that it is confirmed that the server motor status and platform height are normal, which they are. Hit release. X out of that. Hit X reset to return your head to the capping stations. Once your daily cleaning is done like that, this is where we proceed on to the ink pump and head cleaning, and on to running a couple things just to check how your ink output is going and if you are aligned correctly as well. In the mornings, after doing all the cleaning, after doing whatnot, everything looks good to me. I open up the front door of this so you can see your pumps. On this, I have 6 different pumps, 2 for white, 2 for color, 1 for fluorescent, and 1 for expanders. Then come over to your software, go to settings, and now we are going to proceed to pump ink through the dampeners, through the heads, through the capping station, down into the waste tank, which I should check the waste tank to see how much we are maybe overflowing. What I usually use, instead of the small waste tank you see on the left, I have gotten a Culligan water tub so that you can make sure it's not overflowing and going all over your carpet when it's cleaning during the middle of the night. It gives you a lot more time and a lot more space to gather more. Now we're gonna go forward with doing our ink pump for the morning, as well as our head cleaning and test what I call test strips. I print a color strip, I print a crosshairs to make sure everything is lined up. So once again, go to settings, up top, come down here to head select, 8 head all, and hit load ink. I usually try to go about 20-25 seconds what I'm watching for, and it's a good thing to have a flashlight if you're old like me and you can't see very well. You can see there's one, you can see there's no air bubbles going through there. Sometimes in the very beginning you'll see air bubbles. Give it a second. Oh, here, see? Here we go. This one, as you can see, is not pumping the best and there are air bubbles coming through it. So what you want to do is go back up here, stop your loading ink. So now I'm going to come back. This can be caused by something as simple as the head's off a little bit, the dampener's a little bit loose, the dampeners, or not the dampener, the capping station is a little to the left, a little to the right. It can be just tiny, tiny little things. It could be, as most likely it is, as I will show you, just that I need to go like that a little bit. And it suctions up and it's good for the rest of the day. It can be very simple. Try a couple things before you delve too much into it. So how I get just that one to pump and not pump out all my other ones is that, as you can see, I have each of these pumps numbered, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So then you can come up here where you hit head select 8 head all, you can go down and do head 6. Click on that, hit load ink. As you can see, still got some bubbles. If I come up here and even just go like that a little bit, give it a second, see? Can be something just as simple as that. It's just not getting a good connection. Let it pump for about 20 seconds, turn it off. Now you've pumped ink through your dampeners, through your caps, through your heads, on every single capping station. After you've got all your pumps and all your ink and expanders running through the lines fully, then you run what is called a weak clean. You go up to clean, all heads, clean weak. And then it proceeds to clean and wipe the heads. This really is used to clean out the capping stations after you've done a pump. Takes about a minute to 2 minutes, just depending on which machine you have. This is a King Cobra, so there are 6 heads on this. It runs across and raises and lowers that and wipes the heads to get any excess ink off them so they don't drip onto your film when you start printing. This takes a minute, so we'll be right back. The cleaning has finished. You'll notice on the screen on the front of your Cobra, the status is idle, meaning cleaning is done, and proceeding to print and check the prints. At this point, I've set up what I call a tester king colors, just literally a small squares of colors that I typically use, some of my team colors, cyan, magenta, yellow, pinks, grays, things that typically you can see if heads are clogged or whatnot, you can see streaking in them. So proceed to file. I keep this in what I call my end of day file on my C drive just to keep it separate from all of the items that I'm ripping during the day. So I click on my end of day file, I double click on my tester king colors. It pulls it into my print job list. That point, I right click and print. Before I do that, it's a good practice to turn your dryer on. Doesn't mean you have to turn your heat on, but if you turn your dryer on, hit the green button, let it come up with the screen, it'll say English, hit that. The reason I turn this on, and don't turn my heat on, don't turn my fans or anything on, is because at least if I am printing these color strips and my film gets further down in my dryer, it won't gather down there. The pickup rule will still activate and pull it up. So as you can see, it got to English. You just hit your screen. At that point, you don't need to turn any of the heaters on. You don't need to turn anything on. Then I come up and I proceed to right click on my tester king colors and hit print. At this point, you want to just come over and pay attention to what your print color looks like. Make sure there's no streaking, no banding in your colors. When the colors start printing, make sure there's no banding or streaking in your white. That can be an indication that you have a clog in one of your heads. It can be very minimal, but just paying attention to this is critical for quality control, critical for how your day is going to go so you're not frustrated. What you're looking for in this is any kind of streaking, like lines. As you can see, this actually looks pretty good. I don't see any like lines left to right. It slowly starts putting color down with the heads, and as you can see, it gets darker and darker as it gets down to the point where the white will start printing. And then when the white starts printing, you look for the same thing. Really with white, you're looking for a glossy sheen to it. Now you can see it's proceeding to start printing the white. So when you're checking your white, you want to look at, just kind of move your head one angle, another angle, make sure there's no pooling, running, streaking, lines. So I don't know if with the camera you can see this, but when you get the light reflecting off it, you can see if it's just a full sheen or if there's lines in there. Just kind of move your head around and see what you see. This looks really good. I don't see any streaks, any lines. My white looks thick. My white looks like it's not pooling, running. You can get that with your white if you have a bad ICC profile, if you haven't calibrated your machine to the right saturation of white. That will be another whole video. So now that the color's looking good, the white's looking good, I personally always like to run a crosshairs to make sure my alignment is correct, because that is something that can get off very easily just by the tension. If you don't have enough powder down in your dryer, if the tension in the back isn't good, if you've changed a roll and you're starting out with a new one, it can take a minute for it to get the alignment back up. So how I do that, I have a crosshair set up in here that was given to me by Cobraflex. You go into File, Cobraflex Color Crosshairs, double click on that, pull it into your print job list, right click on that and hit print. And all this is, as you can see, I printed one out yesterday, is a whole bunch of just crosshairs that you can tell if your white is aligned perfectly over top of your color. This is determined kind of what they call the choke, to make sure that your white is lined up. You can see a little bit of color around the outside of it, which is what you want to see on all four sides of it. You're also looking at the crosshairs that don't have white to see if your biodirection is set up correctly as well, because that can get off as well, and that can make your colors look a little bit blurry, not so crisp. As the head runs one way and then back the other way, you want to make sure it's aligning and hitting at the exact same spot. So we will let this run and then check it when it is done. All right, our crosshairs have finished printing. I'm going to have zoom in and show you how that looks. If I'll move this down for you so you can see it a little bit better. You do always want to be careful that you're not forwarding or reversing your roll too quickly, because it can cause, if your tension is not correct in the back, it can cause your roll to start unrolling in the back. And believe me, you don't want to do that. Done it, been there, it sucks. You're never going to get that thing re-rolled up perfectly. So just be very cautious when you're forwarding and reversing your printer paper in your machine, and that you're paying attention that your tension on your roll in the back is correct as well. If you don't know for sure, just always pay attention. You can see your roll up underneath while you're moving back and forth, and if you ever hear a swishing weird noise, make sure you check, because you don't want the entire roll unrolling back behind your machine. So now let's come back to this. As you can see, now that I moved it down a little further, you can see that the crosshairs look really, really good. Everything's lined up really good. Crosshairs, there's different reasons crosshairs can get off. A lot of the times it can be the tension in your roll. It can be that, you know, it's not stepping forward correctly. As you can see back here, there's tension rollers. Here, it can be something as simple as this needs to be turned one way or the other, half a turn. It can be something as simple as this isn't in the correct spot. Other thing to check, you can see on these King Cobras, they have a tension bar back here. If your tension over here is way more than your tension over here, that can be causing it as well. A lot of times when that's happening, you'll see that the crosshairs are off on one side and not the other side. The other thing is that you can maybe not have any powder down in there. I mean, it can literally be something just as simple as a distribution of weight of the powder from one side to the other. Before you worry too much about it, just check all these things, look at it. A lot of times what I will do is I'll lift this up and lower it a little bit just to get it realigned, because it can be off just as simple as that, because your paper in the back is over to one side and then the paper or the film at the end of the roll is slightly off to the other side. One of the final steps I do in the morning is just make sure, walk around the back of the printer, check where your roll's sitting, how much you have left on your roll, check how much is in your ink tanks in the back. So we'll proceed to back here. As you can see, we have quite a bit left on the roll. This will last me all day. And then you come over and check all your colors. The main colors: black, sea cyan, magenta, yellow, fluorescent orange, fluorescent green, fluorescent magenta, fluorescent yellow. These I usually like to put up to about half. They don't go down near as fast. Your colors don't go down near as fast on this King Cobra. Your white is your main one you want to check. These do have alarms on them. When they get down too far, you'll hear a beeping noise. I like to make sure that the white is at least half full at all times. You will notice if you walk around the front, even with the door up, you can always see the white and see where it's at. If you have this down while you're printing, you can see where all your color levels are at, even from the front of the machine. So at this point, I will grab my white ink, probably fill all my fluorescents to at least half. And one other thing, as I do, I will show you when we're filling the white. You grab your white bottle. Anytime that you are putting ink in, you want to make sure and agitate. You don't want to shake, shake, shake on these, but you do want to agitate because things can settle in them. So we'll come around back, even though my white is pretty much full. I'm going to just top it off a little bit, get to this line right here, just because my white goes down very quickly. When you're pouring it in there, try to pour it at a steady pace so you're not getting a lot of air bubbles in there. Like I said, get up to about right here is where I like to do, where that bump creases and starts heading backwards. The other thing, when you're filling these, your caps on all your inks need to be loose. You don't want to tighten them down. So my main thing that I do, I'll take it, I'll tighten it all the way down, I'll turn it 2 rolls back, have a little looseness in there. I always usually check all these just to make sure they're not tight down. And with that, we filled our white. I'll proceed to fill all my fluorescents to about a little above where the yellow is. Same procedure. Remove the cap, tighten the cap, loosen the cap 2 turns. One other thing to be very aware of when you're changing your inks, adding inks, you want to 100% take a second, slow down to make sure you're putting the correct color in the correct color tank. Not going to be fun if you don't. So I always slow myself down, make sure I look at the color number, look at the color on here, take the lid off. Once again, check, make sure you are putting the exact color in the right one. You do not want to mix them. That will cause a whole nother problem you do not want to have. So I am, once again, filling my fluorescent orange, expander orange. A lot of times I want to only fill these about half full, just because these do not have agitators in them, as well as you don't use as much of the expander colors or the fluorescent colors as you do all the others. Once again, replace the cap. I screw all the way down, turn it a couple turns back to make sure there's not a vacuum seal. Inside that, you want to have a little bit of airflow through there. It's complicated, so hang in there. Now that we've got the machine cleaned, the colors run, everything looks great, the crosshairs are good, the inks are filled. Really the last steps are just to make sure that your film is run through your dryer correctly, which most of the time it's already run through there. You've run an end run at the end of the day, so it's set for the next day. Then you just check, make sure you have powder all the way coverage on inside your dryer on your film. Walk around here, just take a quick look, lift this and see, make sure you have powder from one end to the other. If you don't, you could easily run the all three augers, gather up what's in the bottom, put it on the top, and then the one spots I've noticed on the King Cobra dryer is that the auger does not put powder on the very edges on the right and the left, so always pay attention to that. Always come and look, check, make sure there's a little bit on there. Even though it shakes it from the center to the out, that can get really thin. If you're doing large coverage logos, it can go down really quick. You just want to make sure when it's running through the dryer, it has the correct powder coverage. At that rate, this is where you then can make sure you have all your rip files ready to go. That'll be another video. Once you have everything loaded in your print list, that's when we can turn on the printer, the dryer heat, the powder shaking, and the air cooling. I'll turn those on and turn them right back off again. As you can see, I've got my temperature set for what works with my humidity and my temperature in my shop to come out the end of the dryer perfect with an orange peel feel. How you turn this on is you come in here, you turn all three preheating, top heating, rear heating on. That turns your dryer heat on. This right here is your augers. I obviously had enough powder in mine. I don't need to turn those on at the moment. Powder shaking is, as you can see, a flap down in there that is hitting the film that knocks off the excess, and then hit next again. And the only one I turn on here is the air cooling, which automatically turns on the fans that are down at the end to help cool in the end. Also at that point, now that you have your heat turned on your dryer, you want to make sure your air scrubber's on so it can suck that moisture, suck that hot air. Just push the button, turns it on. That helps ionize the air coming out, as well as keeping the heat sucked out of there so that you're not burning your film and you're not creating smoke in your shop.
Yeah, that seems like a lot of, that does seem like a lot of work, but I guess that's really what it takes to make sure that these printers are operating efficiently and that you're getting the quality out of the prints. I mean, if you're not doing that, our problem is we're going to end up spending a lot of money on parts and maintenance and
heads and
yeah.
It's just good practice to get yourself in a routine of doing the same thing every morning. A lot of times you can do it in the evening as well, just for the cleaning procedures, not the ink running. Just get yourself in a routine where you know you're maintaining your machine and checking everything daily, and your life is going to be a lot better and things are going to run a lot smoother during the day.
I mean, that's great for you, but I think at the end of the day, it's also really important that the artwork that the customers are getting is it's not going to be the quality you're looking for if you don't do this kind of maintenance on a daily basis, right? Because then you're going to, like, that was interesting. Your crosshairs could be off, your colors could be off. And it seems like there's just 1,000. It's more like there's not usually one big thing that impacts your quality. It seems like there's death by 1,000 cuts. There could be a couple of little things that are off that are easy to fix that have a big impact on quality. So
it could be nothing that you did. It can just be something that's wear and tear on the machine, the vibration of the machine. you just want to always double check it because you want everything to come out perfect for your customers and get great feedback and 5-star reviews. So
I agree. And another part of this, which we'll do in a later video, will be color calibration. I think that could be its very own, not only video, but probably entire series to get the color calibration right. So this is just daily maintenance. I hope this was helpful for you guys to see what it takes to run one of these commercial printers to deliver the quality you need for your customers to get those 5-star reviews. And we'll keep doing some more of these. If you find them useful, leave some comments. That'd be fantastic. We'll throw a like and subscribe up here somewhere, and then we will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for walking us through this, Terry.
yeah, no, awesome.
Bye.